Hello everybody, Deanna here, and thanks so much for being here. Today's video is going to be a book review, and the book I'm reviewing is The Witches of Moonshine Manor by Bianca Marais. I'm going to go ahead and read out my summary of this book. For years, the witches of Moonshine Manor have lived in relative harmony with the townspeople of Critchley Hackle. That is, until an angry mob led by Reverend Cotton Mather arrives on their doorstep with a wrecking ball, demanding they vacate the premises. It seems the women have fallen behind in their mortgage payments. However, the witch in charge, Queenie, is determined to make things right. She's counting on the imminent return after 33 years of fellow witch Ruby. But Ruby's homecoming is not at all what any of the 5 other witches were expecting. And with Queenie running out of time and options, she turns to a dark magic they promised to stay away from. Dealing with dark magic proves even more foolish than expected, as Queenie is forced to make a deal with dire consequences, and they're still no closer to finding a solution. With their powers not being what they were in old age, old rivals appearing, and deals with powerful dark magic, this might just be the last adventure for the witches of Moonshine Manor. So this is a book that I picked up on a whim back in September of 2022 this year. I saw this one in the Shoppers Drug Mart here in Canada, and I was just so very intrigued by the cover. I thought it was such a pretty cover with some of the art that we can see behind the words and just the blue and the yellow. I just thought it was so pretty. And then I was really caught by this tagline here. Why were we taught to fear witches and not the men who burned them? So I just was completely taken in by that, and then just kind of seeing that this was a bit of a sisterhood like book as well, because it mentioned briefly about a sisterhood on the inside flap. I was just very drawn to this book and very much wanted to give it a try. And then it was my delight and surprise when I brought it to the cache, and even the individual who was checking me out in the cache was commented about how many books she had sold as well. So I thought that was very interesting that she even noted, oh, is there something like special about this book? And I was just like, not that I know of. I just picked it up on a whim, so that was kind of funny. And then I did see that it was, I think, trending on Goodreads recently. So other people had the same kind of thought in mind that this is just such a perfect October read. And I do have to say, yes, this was a wonderful October read. It wasn't too scary. There's nothing like very spooky or anything like that, or it's not like a thriller or scary. It is a little bit of a mystery. There is a little bit of a question on kind of what's going on, and there is a bit of like a little heist that happens in the book, which was really fun to see. And there is, at the core of this book, the relationship between the 6 witches that live at Moonshine Manor and the strengths and weaknesses that they each have and their bond together. So that is honestly at the heart of this book, and it was such a delight to see. I absolutely loved seeing them just connect with each other and bounce off of each other, and the relationships that they all had. It was wonderful. So this was a fun October read too, because it's about witches. And you know, we've got All Hallows Eve that happens on the 31st of October, or Halloween as it is now known as. But it is definitely a time for that kind of witches kind of time of year. I mean, that's the stereotype, right? Is that we've got the witches are around that kind of spooky season, and though this book wasn't quote-unquote spooky, it did have witches and magic and things like that, so it was very, very fun and very delightful just kind of seeing that side as well, especially since these women that are in this book are a lot older, so they're I think mainly in about their 80s, I want to say, the majority of the women, and so it was just kind of fun seeing how they had some limitations in regards to their magic because of their age, and yet they still were very spirited and fun women, and I think that was a big commentary on, you know, women's strength and our capabilities and who we are and our identity. So that was all kind of, there was a big take on feminism in this book, definitely. But I did make a journal spread as well, just to kind of write down some of my thoughts. I made like the little header here with your little cauldron, and I had like some little drawings that I did, like a broomstick and a book, a spell book, and the magic ball as well. I listed out the 6 witches that we meet, which would be Ivy, Queenie, Tabitha, Ursula, Jezebel, and Ruby, and then kind of their powers as well. And then my favorite quote in the book, which was also kind of listed there on the front, which is kind of has a little point where it's like, she can't. So it's, you can't understand why for so long people feared the witches instead of the men who burned them alive. And yeah, I wonder that too sometimes because, you know, these poor women, if you were accused of witchcraft back in the day, a lot of times they threw you in like a lake or a body of water, and if you drowned, well, oh, okay, you weren't a witch. Oops, haha, sorry about that. Well, I guess you weren't a witch. Sorry you drowned there. Sorry you died. And then if they didn't drown, if they didn't sink to the bottom and drown, if they somehow floated or something, or tried to escape or something, you know, tried to have their survival instincts kick in and live, then they were essentially burned at the stake. So these women, no matter what, whatever was going on, were murdered straight up, essentially. So yeah, that's pretty devastating to think of, that that's in that history like that, and how fearful we were of things that we didn't understand, and how easily it was to sometimes accuse a woman of witchcraft just because of, you know, whatever slight you might have had against her. And yeah, so I think that quote just really just stuck out to me in regards to that. But the book itself was very, very fun. We do have in the description, as I said, there was like this mob of people that come for the women, so it's again almost like that commentary of like, we've fought for so long and come so far, but yet sometimes it still feels like we've still got so far to go. So there's definitely that kind of commentary going on as well, and just women trying to uplift other women and being strength for each other and for ourselves. So it was delightfully fun to read, especially there's a heist scene, like I said, where they're trying to get something, and there's this whole like scene that happens. It was just very fun. There is a lot of very interesting characters, especially your 6 main witches that just very much had all of their own moments. They had their own personalities. I did feel like I kind of knew each woman, and they just had their moments where we got to see their strengths and their weaknesses, and they balanced off each other really well, and I just really loved that as well. And I honestly just wanted to see like more. I wanted like it to be like a series that we keep getting to see, like Ivy and Queenie and Tabitha and all of them all just having their little adventures, and maybe even like moments of them growing up or something. Like take it back to when they were teens or young women or something. Like I would love that as well. But then also just seeing them as like the, you know, amazing women that they grow up to be in their older age, that was fun as well, and I would love to even just see more of that as like a series. So that's kind of what this line here, like, would love to see more of them, is I just wanted their story to keep going. I just loved it and I had so much fun with it. And then the book itself, I open up, so sprinkled throughout this book you also have like these little kind of recipes or spells or whatever you want to call them, but they're essentially like little things of what do you need, what equipment, and then the directions for like doing your spell or making the item with all of the ingredients. And I just thought that was really fun, and especially since it ties so much into kind of some of what was maybe mentioned in the last scene or something. So I just thought that that was kind of fun that the author had put in some little spells or recipes sprinkled throughout this book as well. But yes, this was the little post that I did, and honestly this book, I just find it so much fun. It was such a delight to read this book. I had so much fun with it. The writing style is really nice. I found that it wasn't like too short or quick or anything, but it also wasn't like too explanatory or too like flowy or flowery or anything. It was like a really nice balance, I found, because I did find that there was some descriptors and things like that, but they weren't like overly too much. So it was a really nice balance just in this book in the writing style as well. Because any moment when I was like, okay, it was there wasn't, honestly. There was moments of like everything was really interesting to read, and it was really fun to see in this book it all to come together. I honestly just have mainly good things to say. I had a lot of fun reading it. There were some moments that really surprised me. Some of the big reveals that happen in the book sometimes were kind of shocking. A little bit of like moments of like, oh, that's what's going on, or oh, that's interesting. So it was really just a lot of fun. And again, I just love some of the commentary that really was throughout this. So it might not be for everyone that maybe doesn't want to read about those kind of topics, but I found them very interesting, and really they were sometimes a little in your face about it, because we've got like a TikToker that's essentially front and center. She's a young lady that finds the women, and she's can be very bold in some of her statements, and so it can be a little on the nose sometimes of those opinions and such, and some of the things said. But overall, I found the whole story just really fun and really interesting, and I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it. So that was The Witches of Moonshine Manor. So that was one of my books to read. It was on my TBR for October, and I'm very glad that I read that book, and I could see myself picking it up again just to revisit these witches and revisit their world and have fun again with them, and maybe pick up things that maybe I missed on the first read through and be like, ah, that's where that is there. So I could definitely maybe see this potentially being a reread for me at some point in the future, because it was so much fun. If you've read The Witches of Moonshine Manor, then go ahead and let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Are you reading anything spooky, or did you read anything spooky throughout the month of October? I'd love to hear all your opinions and thoughts. Go ahead and leave that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, give it a like. I do appreciate it. I gave this one 5 stars because I just loved the writing style, the characters, the plot development, how original it was, how engaged. Like, I literally stayed up until 2 o'clock in the morning reading this because I just wanted to know what was going on, and then as soon as I woke up in the morning, I picked it up and started reading it again. So my whole weekend was pretty much devoted to reading this book and having it finished within just a couple days. So it was a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. So that's my thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, night, evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourselves, and you will see me next time.